If you want to make 2025 your best year, here are 3 things that I wish I learned quicker in 2024. That way 2025 can be my best year and the best year for you. The reason I make these videos is because I got inspired by the book Marcus Aurelius, and I want to show you some of the things that I want to teach myself and look back someday at this video, and that way you can use these insights. So let's get straight into it. Looking back at 2024, here are the do's and don'ts that I would definitely try starting on the 1st of January as soon as it comes, and it's this. You've probably heard about this rule, the 80-20 rule, but how many of you actually apply it every single day? So in a business sense, this is what I would think in my startup is what money generating actions will I do on the 1st of January? I started with a very basic prototype and gave it to one of my dad's friends, which I don't think is a bad thing at all. But the thing that I do regret is that I spent way too much time on one person and I could have been outreaching thousands of people. So that's why you need to understand what's going to move the needle forward that I can do right now. Not that I should have done, not that I could do. I mean, right now. You need to figure this out before January 1st hits. That way that you're ahead of 99% of people and you already hit the ground running. And an example of this would simply be talking with customers. If you're starting a prototype in a startup, you need to talk to customers, whether that's LinkedIn, Facebook, doing an online survey, in person, speaking with people on the street. I don't care what you do. You need to speak with customers or who's going to buy from you. Okay. Another way of doing this is maybe door knocking. That's probably a very common term for real estate agents, but the same thing applies as when you're offering. Imagine if you want to mow lawns for people, you can knock on the doors and talk to people that are obviously wanting to get their lawns mowed. Like, I think that's one of the biggest skills is just consistency and failure, and knowing that business is a numbers game. Let's say that you knocked on 50 doors. I guarantee one person will want their lawn mowed. So that's one way of doing it. It is very old school, but that's the mindset I just want to get you in. Another way is cold calling, which I love, and I did last year, so 2023. And I think as someone that is a bit introverted, that got me out of my shell a lot. And that is probably the most grueling thing that you can do, like, ever, because you're calling people out of the blue, trying to sell them something, and a lot of people tell you no, because if you got a phone call about someone selling you, you would be like, what? Excuse me? Do you have the right person? But no, this is something that I believe every person, if you're starting a business, needs to do. And especially if you're a founder, I 100% agree that you should just try this out even once in your life. And I think probably the biggest thing I failed to do was simply not creating an offer, an irresistible offer. I think the mistake I made was creating the product first and not the offer. If I made the offer and marketed that offer and then started building when people were actually interested in my product, then life would be a lot easier because I would have known what's out there. I mean, an example is running Facebook ads, and let's say you've got one targeted customer, but you don't exactly know what to build for them. A really recent example, let's say it would be for real estate agents as an example. And you would advertise getting more houses sold, or it would be maybe some automations through technology, or maybe it would be social media marketing or management, or maybe it's an advertising to do door knocking for real estate agents and get paid for it, or letterbox dropping. And then you would say, okay, people demanding this, but what if I could automate this that no one else is doing? And that's what I would do. The activities that aren't revenue generating is creating websites. Obviously you need to, but don't spend more than, I'd say, 1 to 2 days on it. I know some of the biggest businesses, had some really mediocre websites, good enough, but people really don't judge you that much on your websites. Obviously, professionalism, yes, but do not spend too much time doing it. Non-revenue generating is also stuff like, I would say it's just things that are not going to push the needle. So anything, just ask yourself, anything that doesn't make me money. Just simply do that, okay? Another thing I would definitely do is leverage social media, especially creating a presence. And that's something that I'm trying to do for my business, which is simply just creating a presence for myself. If you simply, like, I can guarantee you success if you, like, don't, like, I'm talking to myself as a journal. Like, Dante, if I had to do something over again, I would say if you just posted and I'm doing this now, 2 posts a day of decent quality content. I mean, that is the biggest thing that you can leverage. If you want leverage in these days, it's authority and it's creating a presence. I would honestly do a lot of things backwards and create my presence first about a topic I'm really interested in. And then from there, you would really have a deep understanding of your customers and create a solution then. And only then, you would understand what to do. All right, second thing I've learned from 2024 that I wish I knew earlier, and I know this sounds so minuscule, but trust me, the small things really do count. Instead of focusing on waking up early, people say, I wake up at 4 a.m., go to the gym. And that's true. And that is honestly my goal. I want to wake up every morning early because finite resources of time is what we have. We're not on this earth forever. We have a limited amount of time. And the thing is, a lot of people focus on waking up early, but they don't focus on going to bed early. I would rather you go to bed early than to wake up super, super early, because to get you into that mindset, a lot of people say wake up early, but you can go to bed super late and still wake up early. Now, I know there's some common sense in it, but I would say like your standards, like you need to have 100% standards of like, okay, my standard for next year is that I will never go to sleep later than 10:30 at night. Now, obviously, you can't do that every single day. Obviously, if you're older and you've got a family and stuff like that. But as a general rule, instead of saying, I want to wake up at 6 a.m. every morning, I would be saying to myself, every night before going to bed, I switch off my devices, go to bed earlier than 10:30. I really can't stress this enough because it's just your energy, all right? The energy is the only thing that you have, and that energy gets exerted into stuff like work, exercise, and going to things like social media and posts. Sleep is like, I don't think people really acknowledge sleep as much as they should. Some of my heroes and inspirations, like Elon Musk, only take 6 hours of sleep. So there's 2 sides to the coin. Obviously, the thing is time, and wasting time is something just don't do. If I could learn anything from myself, is don't waste time. Every single minute counts. I don't care what you say. That could even be taking too long of a lunch break. All right. Even for those salespeople out there, you could be doing some really good things in your lunch break that you can just underestimate. I want to put it to you this way. If you could just say that you'll go to bed 1 hour earlier every single night than you usually do. So let's say you always go to bed at 11. Say each night, instead of going to bed at 11, I'm always going to go 1 hour earlier. 1 hour earlier. All right? And that just puts you in that mindset. And it takes you back. And now your standards have changed. So you've what's called flip the floor. So let's say at the top end you say, okay, a good night is going to bed at 10:30, but a really bad night is going to bed at 12 at night, midnight. If you flip the floor and you say, okay, well now 10:30 is the low floor, right? That's the bare minimum. Like you'll never go lower than that, okay? And the top would be going to bed at 9:30 or 10. See how you've completely changed your mindset. You've completely changed it. Like, I don't know how to express this, that I've learned that, and it's flipping your standards. If you flip your standards, then you'll reach your goals and you become the person you need to be in order to reach them, okay? Lastly is, I actually learned this again from one of my heroes, Elon Musk. And when creating a business or when creating a startup, most of the big companies I've always seen never really intended to change the world purposely, and say, we're going to do this and everyone in the world's going to use it. I think that's just the wrong thinking. And you shouldn't be that broad. You should not be that broad. And that's why I think in today's day and age, if you had a bakery and you were just really passionate about a bakery and you were able to franchise that, trust me, you would do better than half of these tech companies, because that's something they just don't get. It's just being so specific. And what he said was that, don't change the world, but just change one section of it, or your world. Don't change the whole world, just change your world. Now, I don't want it to sound self-centering, but I really get this, and it's just so amazing that he said it, because it really changed my mindset of like, shoot for the stars, aim for the moon, whatever. But if you just focus, let's just say on real estate, and then let's say you did sales only and helping junior salespeople with technology and social media, that's a very niche market. And there's people in that space. But if you just help those people in your world and that group of people, then that's way better than trying to exert all your energy and always thinking about how can I serve all these people. You need to start really small and don't think about the big stuff. Let it happen naturally. Let it eventually get going. Like, I started small with my prototype and I went to, my ex-boss that I worked for. And I slowly was going back and forward, but we eventually made it work. And just starting with him, it can even start as like a side hustle or just something you do on the weekends. I think that's where businesses are really built. And it's out of the passion of changing your world and other people's worlds. And not having to think of big tech giants like Google, Microsoft, and Apple. And if you simply just make it your family and you want to do a cooking business or a bakery business, and then you simply, give them a sweet cupcake and they say like, this is the best cupcake, honestly, that I've ever had. And then they tell their friends about it. And then their friends tell them about it. And their friends' friends tell them about it. And you see that it just spirals. Like, it gets bigger. It will happen, that networking effect. I just wish I knew that earlier, because I always thought too broad. And looking at the big picture is great. But don't worry about that, because it blurs your vision. Your vision should be very clear. And it should be something you enjoy. And then the mistake I made was being too broad, not being niche specific enough, not being tailored to a certain person, because then you know exactly who it is, what their age is, what are their pains, what are their frustrations, what solutions have they tried already. You see, that's the kind of mindset you need to be in. And I would encourage anyone, if you're a pizza shop, think about that. I mean, when you're getting a pizza, what frustrations do you have? It's like there's too many flavors to choose from. What flavors should I choose? There's too many places to pick from. There's just so many problems, and just it makes things 10 times easier if you know exactly who you're targeting. So I'll honestly just say, for your sake, start with friends and family. Start with employees or colleagues. Okay, and start reaching out to your warm audience. All right. Okay, and do a bit of both. I would say the biggest mistake I made is not reaching out to my warm audience and also my cold audience, and just doing a bit of both and just seeing what happens. Because if you cold call 1,000 people, it really won't matter because you still got your warm audience anyway. So try a bit of both. Obviously, reach out to all the people you know first. Definitely do that, because leverage what you can. But also do those 80-20 rules. What is that 20%? And what is out of that, like the 10 to 4%, that one thing you can do every day? For example, for me would be outreach. Reaching out to more people, creating social media content, creating offers that people are going to choose. And that's what I would do. So looking back at it, let's sum this up. The first thing you're going to do on January 1st is, before we even get started this year, you're going to create a list of the actions that you need to do every single day to move that needle forward and generate you money. Examples can be cold calling, talking with more customers, social media. The next thing is really take care of your body. I would say that you need to think of things in reverse. And instead of thinking of, I need to go to bed early, think of it, I need to go to bed early instead of I need to wake up early. I just think that mindset shift for me, with flipping the floor and saying, okay, instead of 6 a.m., that's going to be my minimum and the lowest I will go. But the good day would be around 4 a.m. So now you're probably waking up around 5:30 a.m., which is 10 times better than probably waking up at 7 a.m. every morning. All right? Your standards change completely. And lastly is, don't think too big. Just start with friends, start with family. That's what a business is. It's just honestly being able to help people out, help your friends. If you want to help anyone, don't help strangers. Help your friends and family, the ones who need it most, who are in your community. That's who you need to help, and that'll expand, because friends will tell their friends, and their friends will tell their friends, and the network effect will work in your favor. Okay. Thank you for listening. This is December 23rd of 2024, and by 2025, I would have reached the goals that I wanted at the end of 2025, and I'll continuously be posting every single night until this current video is made. So a year from now, I will still be posting. So keep up to date, and I'm going to be sharing my insights every day. Thank you.